Welcome back to the ITWeb Security Summit 2023. I've got Stephen Kynes from Goldilock, and he's got a very interesting solution. He saw that we've got quite an old-fashioned way of keeping track of who's coming up, where I've been writing on a bit of paper and just sticking it on our window here. Stephen said that's an analog way of working, and Stephen's kind of into the analog system, right?
Absolutely.
Stephen, it's nice for you to join us. Sorry,
thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. So yeah, maybe if you can explain a bit about your system and why analog's kind of important to it in this cybersecurity world where lots of people are focusing on more digital elements.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like your piece of paper, there was no way anybody could actually get that unless they ripped it from your hands. Whereas we're always connected all of the time and allowing ourselves vulnerability to attackers. So really what we came up with was an elegant solution to go analog effectively with digital solutions by disconnecting to protect. And the way we did that was we said, well, what is the best way of the ultimate level of protection in cyber resilience? And effectively, if you can ensure that you are disconnected and only connect when necessary, then you don't need to have your assets on all of the time. And it's really important to have a form of physical network segmentation so that you split up your network. And the more you can segment that network, the more secure you are because you're putting it into different pods. And we've built a device that allows you to control all of those elements and connect and disconnect. But the secret sauce that we have, which I can reveal, but I won't reveal the inner side, is that we don't use the internet. Okay. Because if you're using the internet, you're going back to a form of IP connectivity that's an attack surface. So that's where we went analog, and we said we will use a non-IP form of triggering that mechanism, so that by using different forms, we've even used analog voice, but our deployable model that is scalable and an easy plug and play is this device, what I have in my hands right here, and it uses SMS. So it's a simple text message to trigger that. We call it a drawbridge. You lower the drawbridge, you open the drawbridge. Lower it, data flows, and take it up again, and the data stops. So, and that could be for any kind of network. So you've got on-prem data. The device I'm holding in my hand is used in operational technology, so it could be for SCADA networks, any kind of water utility, energy facility. You can isolate those remotely. If they could be thousands of miles away, you simply just send a text message, that's all. Okay. And in 3 seconds you've isolated it. Okay. So it's very simple, but it's kind of getting back to basics, just like your piece of paper.
Sure, so I think there's two things. One, to my simple mind, and I kind of mentioned this before, but it seems like the old-fashioned kind of Airgap, where you're kind of isolating something. And then I'll let you explain about that in a minute, but we've got a short video that I just want to kind of play for our viewers, which kind of demonstrates, it's from your booth, and demonstrates how the technology kind of, well, I'll let you explain in a second. Okay, so maybe, Stephen, if you can just explain what our viewers have seen there.
Yeah, so what you saw was our Goldilock drawbridge device there connected, and when the red lights were going through, there was no possibility for any of the data to flow to that. So it was a full kill switch. It was the drawbridge was up, and then you saw the lights flowing in both directions, and so data was flowing in both ways. And that was when the drawbridge was lowered. So effectively, and you saw two different networks. One was an energy plant, one was an army bunker. Okay. Because, by the way, it might be of interest for you to know that this device has been deployed by Ukrainian Cyber Command. It's actually on the front lines.
Wow.
There's 4 devices that they have there. It's developed in part with the Ministry of Defense from the UK, and has all the security specifications. So it's the ultimate level of security. You can't get more secure than this, because if you're physically disconnected and you have that ability to trigger it without using the internet, then you're guaranteed a level of security.
So I think I might have spotted one tiny flaw in your plan,
Okay.
that when you SMS to the device to turn it off,
Yep.
how do you stop a hacker from sending the SMS themselves?
Oh, okay. That's a great question, Adrian, because that is something that we were trying to solve, and we've had a lot of questions about that. So there's 3 lines, first of all, to think about. There's no way for you to know the number and how to reach this device.
Okay.
So first of all, if I said try and hack this device, you wouldn't even know the number. But let's say you do manage to compromise that number. Even then, that number, we have a management port, and you whitelist the numbers. So only numbers that are on the whitelist or the permit list are able to reach this device. It doesn't recognize any other numbers. But you might sort of say, well, what if that number is compromised through spoofing or something like that? And we're talking nation state attacks.
Sure.
And which is a very serious concern. So the third level that we do is we use an authenticator app. So when you send the SMS, you say enable port 4, for example, and then from the authenticator app, you put the 6-digit code. So your phone would have to be physically in the hands of an attacker for it to be, it can't be spoofed because you have the authenticator app, which is device specific. It's the highest level, which was required by the Ministry of Defense, so we developed only recently. And we're continuing to develop various security upgrades. And imagine the case where you do have a user that has their phone compromised. You just simply delete their number from the list. So it's a very simple solution.
Okay, so it's almost like an analog kind of zero trust model.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So
I think now you've explained how the whole system works. I didn't give you the opportunity earlier. I mentioned my simplistic view of it being an air-gapped model. What's your kind of take on that?
Yeah, no, our trademark name is True Airgap.
Okay.
So we believe that a lot of Airgap has been misunderstood because it's some sort of software air gap and therefore is subject to compromise. And that's problematic for us. So what we're trying to say is true air gap means a full physical disconnect, not a software layer pulling the cable. Mm-hmm. And so yes, it is an air gap, but it's a remote air gap. Sure. So when we think of air gap, we think of people running around with USB sticks to transfer data. And it's also often been misaligned. But yes, effectively, this is an air gap device that is true.
Okay.
And I would just want to say one thing. We're really excited to be here, and we really appreciate that you've organizing this conference and this opportunity, because we've used it as an opportunity together with the UK High Commission that has brought us here to launch in South Africa on July 1st. So this will be our first launch. We're already based in the Middle East, but we're using this opportunity, and we've got special pricing that we're making available to South African customers for this launch. So we really think that this is a great opportunity to provide the highest level of security, and based on what we've seen at this excellent conference, we think there's a lot of opportunity for use and starting out from here.
So I think that's been very interesting, Stephen. I think that's a fantastic, fascinating product. And yeah, I'm hopeful it's going to do very well in our local market. This is Stephen Kind from Goldilock. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Adrian.